In this video for section 3.2, we're going to talk about measures of variation. Variation is how much spread there is between data values, or how much the data values are different from one another. If the data values are all very close together, then there's not very much variation, and any measure of variation is going to be a small number. If the data values are very far spread apart, then the variation is large, and any measure of variation is going to be a large number. Our first measure of variation that we're going to discuss is the range. And the range is nice because it's very easy to calculate. We take the largest value in the data set and subtract the smallest value in the data set. The disadvantage of the range is that it's only taking these two values into account. It doesn't tell us anything about what the rest of the data set looks like. And the range is very sensitive to extremely high or extremely low values because all it is taking into account the highest and the lowest values in the data set. So it doesn't really give us too much information that's useful. Our second measure of variation is the interquartile range. The interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. And this is not going to be as sensitive to extremely high or low values because the values on the ends of the data are not going to affect the third quartile and the first quartile as much. So we're going to look at example 310. We have a data set that shows the number of text messages sent over a 1-week period by 100 Verizon customers. We want to compute the range and the interquartile range. And I'm going to show you how to do this using Minitab. So I've entered the data into a Minitab worksheet that you can find on Blackboard. And what I'm going to do is go to Summary, Descriptive Statistics. We're using column 1, and I want to calculate the interquartile range and the range. And I'm going to uncheck all of the rest of the boxes and click OK. So I got a range of 446 and an interquartile range of 43.25. Now, you might notice if you look in the textbook gives a different value for the interquartile range. It says the interquartile range is 42.5. And what happens is the way that Minitab calculates the interquartile range and other computer programs like Excel, they calculate it differently than the method that the textbook describes for calculating by hand. So just be aware of this. It's not really going to affect anything that we do at all. Any answers that you calculate in Minitab will be marked correct by the homework.